Imagine this. You decide you want a vacation, you open your laptop, type one sentence into an AI travel assistant, and a few minutes later, you've got a full, budget-friendly itinerary with cheap flights, affordable places to stay, and local food spots that won't destroy your wallet. That's not sci-fi anymore. That's what AI can actually do for travelers right now. Today we're talking about something that has gotten insanely good recently, using AI as your personal budget travel assistant. But here's the rule for this video. If it doesn't help you save money, it doesn't make the list. I'm going to walk you through 10 strategies, explain how AI fits into each one, and give you practical ways to actually use them. No fluff, no magic button, just tools you can actually use. Alright, let's start with the biggest money saver of them all. For most people, flights are the biggest chunk of the travel budget. So if you can cut that cost, everything else gets easier. AI-powered search tools can help you find routes you'd never think of, and prices you might miss on your own. Instead of searching for one very specific route, like New York to Paris, July 10th to 17th, you let AI know you're flexible. You might say something like, I want a cheap week-long trip from New York to anywhere in Europe in July, under $500. Show me the cheapest date ranges and airports. AI is great at comparing different dates, nearby airports, and even alternative routes that might involve a layover but save you a couple $100. It can quickly narrow down the best options based on your budget and time frame. Your job is just to verify the prices and double-check the details before booking. Think of AI as the intern doing all the boring searching across dozens of possibilities, while you step in at the end to make the final smart choice. Once you know where you're going, the next mission is not blowing your budget when you get there. That's where AI-created itineraries come in. Instead of spending hours scrolling through blogs and random travel forums, you can tell an AI planner what kind of trip you want and how much you want to spend each day. You might say, plan a 4-day budget trip to Lisbon under $60 a day, excluding flights. Prioritize free viewpoints, cheap local food, and public transport. Group activities by neighborhood so I don't waste money getting around. AI can then spit out a day-by-day plan that's heavy on free viewpoints, parks, walking tours, and low-cost attractions, all clustered so you're not zigzagging across the city and paying for unnecessary taxis. You can then ask it to estimate daily costs for food, transport, and activities. The result is a trip that still feels full and fun, but doesn't silently drain your bank account. Accommodation is another huge cost, and it's where a lot of people get surprised. That cheap-looking hotel or apartment can suddenly become expensive once cleaning fees, taxes, or resort fees show up at checkout. AI can help you compare the local value of several places at once, instead of just staring at the nightly price. Here's a simple way to do it. First, shortlist 5 to 10 possible places you might stay. Then grab the links, paste them into your AI assistant, and ask something like, compare these stays for a budget traveler. Include total costs for 4 nights with estimated fees, how close they are to public transport, whether they have a kitchen, and how safe the area seems based on recent reviews. AI can read through piles of reviews, highlight red flags like noise, hidden fees, or safety concerns, and then rank these options from best value to worst value. You still check the final price yourself before you pay, but now you're choosing based on the real costs, location, comfort, and all those little details that add up. If you've ever watched flight prices bounce around like a yo-yo, you know how stressful it can be deciding when to actually book. AI-powered price tracking and prediction tools can reduce that stress in a big way. Many apps can now monitor routes for you and send you alerts when prices drop into your budget range, or when they think prices are about to rise. Instead of manually checking flights every day, you set up a few alerts and then ask AI a simple question like, given typical price patterns, is it smarter to book now or wait a bit? The AI looks at past trends and current prices and gives you a recommendation. It doesn't mean the prediction will be perfect every time, but it's much better than guessing. Over time, this can be the difference between scoring a flight for $250 or paying $600 for the same seat. One of the fastest ways to destroy a budget is eating every meal in tourist zones and paying whatever price gets put in front of you. AI-powered maps and local search features can help you dodge those traps and find better options that locals actually use. When you're walking around, you could just pull out your phone and type something like, cheap local dinner nearby, not a tourist trap, under this price range. AI can sort the reviews and highlight spots that are praised for value, not just for the pretty interior. It can also summarize review trends, so you quickly see phrases like overpriced, tourist trap, or tiny portions, which let you move on before you sit down. You can do the same thing to find budget supermarkets, affordable bars, laundromats, or co-working spaces. The difference between always eating on the main square versus walking a few blocks into a neighborhood area can easily be hundreds of dollars over a week-long trip. Language doesn't just affect how you communicate, it directly affects what you pay and what you get. AI-powered translation apps have gotten much better at handling real conversations and reading signs, menus, and documents. That means less confusion, fewer mistakes, and fewer chances of being overcharged simply because you didn't understand what was going on. You can use camera translation to scan restaurant menus and see what the dishes actually are and what they cost. You can point your phone at rental agreements or ticket machines to avoid surprise fees and unnecessary add-ons. And when you're talking to someone about prices, especially at markets or local shops, you can use live conversation mode to make sure you both understand each other. Before your trip, you can even ask AI to teach you 20 or 30 useful phrases in the local language that help with budgeting. Things like, is there a cheaper option? Or, do you have a local price? Or, is this included in the ticket? Those small phrases can save you money over and over again. Baggage fees are one of those boring travel costs that feel small at first and then suddenly stack up. AI can help you plan so well that you never need to check a bag unless you really want to. Before your trip, you can say something like, I'm flying a low-cost airline from Chicago to Mexico City for 7 days, with only a backpack that fits under the seat. I want outfits for walking, one nicer dinner, and a day trip. Build me a minimal packing list that keeps me under the size and weight limits and avoids checked bag fees. AI can then put together a capsule-style packing list focused on layering and mix and match outfits. It can remind you of things that are annoying or expensive to buy on the road, like chargers, adapters, and medication. You can also ask which things are better to buy after you arrive, like sunscreen or certain toiletries, to keep your bag lighter. The result is less money spent on luggage, less stress in airports, and no last-minute panic purchases because you forgot something essential. When you travel matters just as much as where you go. AI tools can help you figure out the sweet spot between decent weather, lower prices, and fewer crowds. Instead of randomly choosing dates, you can ask something like, I want to visit Japan for 10 days on a budget. Which months give me a good balance of lower prices, okay weather, and fewer crowds? Include any major holidays or events that I should avoid. AI can then outline high season, shoulder season, and low season for that destination and give you a sense of how that affects flight and hotel prices. It can point out big holidays or festivals that send prices through the roof and suggest alternate weeks that are quieter and cheaper. You can go even further and ask it to estimate average nightly prices for budget accommodations in each month, and then compare them. Often, shifting your trip by a couple of weeks from peak season into shoulder season can mean a nicer trip for the same money, or the same trip for much less. If you're planning a multi-city or multi-country trip, especially in regions like Europe or Southeast Asia, the puzzle of trains, buses, and budget airlines can get complicated fast. That's exactly the kind of thing AI is good at untangling. Instead of manually checking every possible route, you can describe the trip you want and let AI suggest a cheap, logical path. For example, you might say, plan the cheapest 10-day route from Berlin to Prague, Vienna, and Budapest using a mix of buses, regional trains, and low-cost airlines. Prioritize options that are safe and reasonable, and use overnight routes where it makes sense so I can save on accommodation. AI can then propose not just the order of cities, but also specific types of transport and approximate times. You can ask it to compare a long-distance train versus a cheap flight, plus airport transfer versus an overnight bus. Once you have that blueprint, you go to the actual booking sites to confirm prices and schedules. Instead of staring at a map feeling overwhelmed, you're tweaking and optimizing a plan that already makes sense. Finally, let's talk about keeping the whole trip financially sane. AI is surprisingly good at budgeting, especially when you feed it realistic numbers. You can start with something like, I have $1,200 for a 7-day trip to Portugal, not including flights. I'm okay with hostels or budget hotels, eating mostly cheap local food, and using public transport. Build me a realistic daily budget with a small emergency buffer. AI can break that down into categories like accommodation, food, local transport, attractions, and fun money. It can tell you, if you spend this much per night on accommodation, you'll have this much per day left for everything else. You can then play with what-if scenarios. What if you upgrade to a private room for half the nights? What if you add one more paid activity? If you're traveling with friends, you can also plug in everyone's expenses at the end and have AI calculate who owes you so you don't spend hours arguing over receipts. It's like having a calm, number-loving friend who doesn't judge your choices but makes sure you understand them. If this gave you some new ideas, hit like so more travelers see it. Subscribe for more budget travel and AI-powered hacks. And check out our 18 general hacks video. The big idea is this: AI doesn't replace the adventure, it replaces the wasted time, the guesswork, and a lot of the unnecessary spending. You still bring the curiosity, the taste, and the stories. AI just helps you get there cheaper and smarter. We wish you safe and cheap travels.